In a move that has sent shockwaves through the Middle East and beyond, former President Donald Trump intervened to stop a planned Israeli airstrike on Iranian nuclear facilities in May 2025. This decision, revealed yesterday in a report by the New York Times, marks a significant departure from previous U.S. policy toward Iran and has ignited a firestorm of debate about the future of the region. Trump, who returned to the White House in January, has long been critical of Iran's nuclear ambitions and the 2015 nuclear deal, which he withdrew the U.S. from during his first term. However, his decision to halt the Israeli strike suggests a shift in strategy, prioritizing diplomatic engagement over military action. The revelation of Trump's intervention comes as the U.S. and Iran prepare for their second round of direct talks scheduled for Saturday in Rome. The first round, held in Oman last week, was described as positive and constructive by both sides, offering a glimmer of hope for a peaceful resolution to the long-standing nuclear standoff. The timing of the New York Times report, just days before this crucial meeting, is sure to add another layer of complexity to the already delicate negotiations. The world is now watching closely, eager to see if Trump's gamble will pay off. Will his decision pave the way for a diplomatic breakthrough, or will it embolden Iran and further destabilize the region? Only time will tell. What is certain is that Trump's bold move has set the stage for a high-stakes geopolitical drama with far-reaching consequences. The Israeli strike, reportedly planned for May 2025, was intended to significantly delay Iran's nuclear weapons program. According to intelligence assessments, the attack would have targeted key facilities involved in uranium enrichment and plutonium production, setting back Iran's nuclear capabilities by at least a year. Israel, viewing a nuclear-armed Iran as an existential threat, had grown increasingly impatient with the pace of diplomatic efforts and was prepared to take unilateral military action. However, the Israeli plan was contingent on U.S. support, both in terms of military assistance and diplomatic cover. The Israeli Air Force would have needed to traverse Iraqi airspace, potentially requiring U.S. refueling and intelligence support. Moreover, Israel sought assurances from the U.S. that it would back any retaliatory strikes from Iran. Trump's decision to withhold support effectively scuttled the Israeli plan, creating a rift between Washington and its closest ally in the Middle East. The planned strike and its subsequent cancellation underscore the high stakes involved in the Iranian nuclear issue. With tensions between Iran and the West reaching a boiling point, the region stood on the brink of a conflict that could have spiraled out of control. Trump's decision, while controversial, has averted an immediate crisis. However, it remains to be seen whether his gamble on diplomacy will yield a lasting solution. Trump's decision to halt the Israeli strike and pursue direct talks with Iran represents a significant shift in U.S. policy. During his first term, Trump withdrew the U.S. from the 2015 nuclear deal, which he deemed the worst deal ever negotiated, and imposed crippling sanctions on Iran. This maximum pressure campaign was designed to force Iran back to the negotiating table and extract major concessions on its nuclear program, ballistic missile development, and regional activities. However, the Trump administration's efforts to isolate and pressure Iran ultimately failed to achieve their objectives. Instead, the Islamic Republic responded by gradually increasing its nuclear activities, exceeding the limits imposed by the 2015 agreement. This escalation raised fears of a regional arms race and increased the likelihood of military confrontation. Trump's decision to engage in direct talks with Iran suggests a recognition that the maximum pressure campaign has run its course. By opting for diplomacy over military action, he is signaling a willingness to explore alternative paths to resolving the nuclear standoff. The international community has reacted with a mixture of cautious optimism and skepticism to Trump's decision to engage in direct talks with Iran. European allies who had opposed Trump's withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal have welcomed the resumption of diplomacy. However, Israel has expressed deep reservations about Trump's diplomatic overture. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who had advocated for a more hawkish approach toward Iran, has criticized the U.S. for negotiating with a regime that he considers to be untrustworthy and dangerous. Other regional actors such as Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have also expressed concerns about the potential for a U.S.-Iran rapprochement, fearing that it could embolden Tehran and destabilize the region. The success of the U.S.-Iran talks will depend on a number of factors, including the willingness of both sides to compromise and the level of trust between them. The negotiations will also be influenced by external factors such as the evolving regional security environment and the domestic political situations in both countries. The stakes are high and the outcome of this diplomatic gamble remains uncertain.